Episode 4 begins with Andor and Stellan Skarsgård's character, who I looked up, and his name is Lufin. I don't know if they mention his name, but maybe I missed it. They both land on this planet that looks a lot like the Scottish Highlands. I know I should have paid more attention and remembered the name of the planet, but at least it was memorable enough. It looked like the Scottish Highlands. And they meet up with a small group of rebels who are coming up with a plan to take down a Imperial outpost on the planet, while Lufin goes on his own. He goes to Coruscant in a disguise, pretending to be an art dealer, as he does this as a way of getting Imperial secrets, which is definitely a cool idea. Disguises and all that. It adds a lot to the spy aspect of it, not just like kind of sleuthing around and looking cool. You're also behind enemy lines and all that. This episode was not as eventful, but it still gave you just enough to where it was mostly worth it. It's not like some of the last couple of episodes of She-Hulk, where it just feels like a big, I guess, middle finger in a way, if you want to put it that extremely. But that's just how TV sometimes is. I guess in some ways we have been so used to, the way Netflix occasionally does it. But for the most part, I would still like to say that in terms of Disney Plus's shows, a lot of them, treat themselves like they are a Netflix series, like they're all released at once. While they're not, it's a weekly structure, just like regular TV shows. Except the episodes are kind of edited in a way to where they're like Netflix shows and all that. But it's a small thing. It's again, like I said, it's not like She-Hulk where it's just one big pointless episode and you're waiting for it to actually become important. But again, that's just how it is. This is the earliest point in the series. There's still a lot of episodes left to be released according to the total episode count that they have planned. So at least we'll have a lot to look forward to. In this episode, we also get a glimpse at the Imperial perspective a bit more, just like we kind of did with the sort of space police in the last few episodes. This time it's the actual Empire in a sense. I think the admirals, or whatever you call them, the people in cool white suits and their hats, they're discussing business and all of that, and it's kind of interesting. They basically dismiss the lead space cop from the last episode who led the search for Andor on that planet, and of course he's being dismissed along with the other guy who was with him, and then his boss, who was completely against the idea and didn't know much about the search, and he gets dismissed, which kind of sucks. And that's kind of the last we see of him. We see the lead space cop, the young guy, sort of go to his mother's apartment, and that's kind of it. We don't get to see too much of that, but I'm sure we will later. It'd be kind of interesting to see him more as a character. Kind of like I said last time, I'm sure they're going to build up to him being more interesting and more of a semi-antagonist next to the Empire. One final thing I'll talk about in terms of details for this episode are two Easter eggs that have been talked about a lot since this episode released, and I definitely liked them. The first Easter egg is a verbal one when Lufin, right? Lufin mentions the Rakatan Empire, which was this very old, empire of aliens, space creatures who were just very brutal and conquered a lot of the galaxy back before the Old Republic. So they're very old. They were very old, and they were very powerful until they were stopped. Now, of course, what's the reason why this is talked about by fans is, of course, it's a cool Easter egg, I guess, but also because for the most part, the Rakatans were not canon anymore, but I guess Disney has finally made them canon again. The second Easter egg is something that I personally am happy about a little bit, and that's in Lufin's art shop, art house, or whatever you call it, where he has his disguise and is pretending to be an art dealer. In the background, when he's talking to a quote-unquote customer, you can see in the background a suit of armor, and that armor is actually Starkiller's armor from The Force Unleashed, specifically the alternate ending version where he becomes a Sith Lord. It's like the non-canon alternate ending to The Force Unleashed one. But I think that's still pretty cool that they included it. Specifically, it's the armor he wears on the Hoth DLC for The Force Unleashed, which I think is very cool. It, of course, does not mean that we'll actually get Starkiller at some point, but it means they've acknowledged it. It's like in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series when Vader uses the Force and is able to pull an entire ship away close to him. It's a little bit like that, just a little hint, a little nod at that, but it's not a complete tease at things to come. But I would love if it was teasing for Starkiller to come back. Overall, I think this episode is pretty good, and obviously I can't wait to see what else happens in the next episode or two. So we'll all see, I guess. I'm gonna give episode 4 a 7 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you stay tuned for more Andor content and more review content in general. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Have a good day.